pay attention to October, and hopefully the agents are ramped up and they're getting the price reductions. You got offers coming in. All right? Okie doke. All right. Anybody have a quick question? We're almost at the top of the hour. We'll get Stephanie to give us the rules, and off we go.
Hi, Monica. This is Tricia from Keller Williams in Puyallup, Washington.
Sure, Tricia. How do I help you, please?
I was curious if you had a particular system that you would suggest for requesting showing feedback. If you found something.
Yes, we have. Well, I don't know why you. Okay, it's coming up in the buyer section.
Okay.
But we do have a showing feedback form, and if you just email me at monica@hellerthehomeseller.com or hellerteam.com, I'll send it to you.
Okay.
But it's coming up. And there are 3 questions that you want. I don't believe in the showing services, and that's just it's an efficient way, but it's not the best way. So we don't have that. We call each person. There's 3 questions if you want to write it down. So you don't need my form if you just want to write these questions down. The first question you ask the agent is, you say, "Thank you for showing the property. Can I have 2 minutes of your time? I need to ask you a couple of questions." First question is your buyer going to write an offer? And they're going to say yes or no. Second question is, it's very important, is that you say, "Tell me what it would take for your buyer to write an offer. What would cause them to want to write an offer?" Okay, that's an important question. And number 3 is, "We value your opinion as an agent. What do you think the property will sell for?" So those are the only 3 questions you need to ask. And then that information is given back to the seller. So those are the 3 questions. Does that help?
That does help. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Happy to help with that. Okay, everyone. Stephanie, rock it out.
Good morning, everyone. This is Stephanie, track coordinator. I'm going to make just a few announcements here before we get started today, and I hand you back over to Coach Monica. We do ask that you help us keep the noise levels to a minimum. Please, if you're not interacting on the call, make sure your line is muted. You can use the mute button on your phone if you have one, or you can hit *6 to mute and *6 to unmute when you want to ask questions or you have comments. If you're on a cell phone or you have us on speaker, please keep yourself muted, as it does make an extremely loud echo for us. Please don't put us on hold, otherwise we'll be listening to your hold music. Also, a heads up, we can see everyone's line that is dialed into this call and how much feedback is coming from it. If you forget to mute yourself and are creating too much feedback, I will mute you. I prefer not to, as once you're muted from my side, you're muted for the rest of the call without an option to interact or ask any questions. Okay, Monica, they're all yours.
All right. Good morning, good afternoon. Thanks for being on this call. I so appreciate you guys being on the call today. So we're going to talk about closing systems, and so basically the objectives are pretty simple. We need to create a bulletproof closing system. Now, I know some of you are paperless, and gosh, I love the fact that you are. I'm never going to be paperless. Frateller's never going to be paperless. My office will never be paperless. My personal feeling is, and people that I talk to and transaction coordinators, the more business you do, when you do a lot of volume, it's very difficult to stay paperless. Now, some of you figured it out. You're a genius. I like opening up the files. I like looking at the information. I like seeing what's missing. And if your computers go down, let me ask you a question. Can you get into your file? So our computers went down last week for a few hours. We were still operational because everything's in our files. Just a thought. Develop an excellent customer service to increase repeat and referral business. As I've said before, and I'm on your side. I know how hard you guys work, and I know how difficult this job can be, especially the closing part. And what I want to share with you about that is that when we get repeat and referral business for an agent, that's where we make profit. That's where it's exciting to us to show up every day. That's the stuff we're looking for. And then develop a deadline board that your agent can easily see, so they're not bugging you all the time, what's happening on this, what's happening on that. I'm going to give you a script for a weekly call. I'm going to talk about a notice to perform. Now in California, we have a standard legal form on that. A lot of agents haven't heard of that before. It's something you can put together and just say, we're giving you a notice to perform. If they haven't removed the contingencies and you're not going to drag it on any longer, this is how you do it. Weekly communication, we're going to talk about that. And then I think the the whole key about the deadline board too is just really figuring out what should be on that. And then your escrow weekly communication checklist, okay? Or the spreadsheet and how you're going to communicate with your agent what's going on, so it saves a lot of crazy conversations that just get repeated all the time. So turn to page 3. All right, so what is your communication system for updating the agent on pending escrow? So what I like to do is have no conversation. So I should get a form every Friday at 10 o'clock in my chair, which I do, has a list of all the pending escrows or pending files. They're broken out between buyer and seller. You'll see one coming up. I'll see the volume. Commissions aren't in there, but everything else is in there is pretty clear. And then if you don't have a deadline board, how would that help you? Gosh, it absolutely allows you not to make mistakes where you're going, oh my gosh, I didn't catch that, or oh, how did that slip through the cracks? The more deals you do, the more opportunities you have for things to slip through the cracks. It's just that you're juggling a lot, and there's like all these plates spinning. And as a great assistant, are you asking for referrals when speaking to the client? Who better than to ask for referrals than you? And, we've talked about this numerous times in my office. It's like, when you're getting ready to close out a file, you say, by the way, Jim, thanks for being such a great client. I so appreciate working with you, and the whole team really enjoyed working with you. May I ask you one last favor? Our business, and it's not but our business is based on referrals from great people like you. I need a replacement client. I could use another client like you. So it's a very simple thing to ask when the time is right and the tonality is there, and they're excited, they're getting through these deals, or congratulations, we've got all the contingencies removed. Now it's time to bring out the boxes and start packing, and they go, okay, great, yeah. And you say, oh, before I let you go, I need to ask you a favor. Our business is based on referrals from great people like you. So learn to say that. And you say that enthusiastically. And gosh, we hate to see you leave as a client, but I know you want to be sold. All right. You keep an accurate communication log.
Okay.
As I've said to you before, and I get it confirmed all the time, we had an in-house training a few weeks ago, and one of the gals had worked in a legal firm, a law office, and she said that everything in a law office is so documented, like who called, what time, what did they say. And she said, and I said, so my friend who is a judge, she said to me, the person that comes to court, and you're in a case, I said, how do you tell who's lying and who isn't? And she said, both sides lie. She said, but the one with the most paper is going to win. The one with the most documentation, they're going to win. That's just how it goes. So I've always had that in my head. The one with the most paper wins. So do you keep an accurate communication log? You should, every single time a client calls in, you need to say, great, Jim, thanks for calling. Can I put you on hold for 30 seconds? I want to grab your file so I can take some great notes. Put them on hold if you have to, or say, can you hold on 20 seconds? I'll be right back when I grab your file. They're happy for you to grab the file, and then you note that they called in. Now, here's a thought, ... here. If you have a lot of incoming calls and interruptions during the day of people asking you things on your closing files, then my challenge back to you is you're not being proactive enough to setting up seller expectations. So you don't want to have fires. You don't want to continue to put out fires. But if you're ahead of the game and you absolutely start talking, when you first start talking to them, this is what's going to happen. And the other thing I want you to write down on this page, because there's plenty of room there, is call, email, call. And the other thing that I think is critical is the first 5 days of that escrow, you call every day. So if you got a new escrow on Monday, you need to be calling on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You've now set up their expectations that you're on top of the file, that you absolutely are paying attention, and that it's not one of many files that you're doing. You mention their name, you use their name, you understand, why they're selling and what the closing dates are and what the dates are for the removals, the deadlines, when the inspections are. I mean, you are their person. And then the other thing I want you to write down on this page is 25% of what you say is heard. 75% is lost. And the reason it's lost is that they're under a lot of stress. So what you say, they don't hear. So just get over that. That's just the way it is. So what you say has to be sent back in an email, and then the next day you say, I know we talked about a lot of things as part of our customer service. Chris and Monica asked that I call you and make sure that everything I said you understood, and I sent an email. If you have any questions about that, I know you've got a lot going on. They have a lot going on. Has anyone on this call moved recently? You know, you don't raise your hand and say, gosh, you know, that moving, that was a fabulous experience. In fact, would you sign us up and have us move again a year from now? No one calls you back and says, I'd like to move in another year. This was so much fun. We loved every minute. Normally it's like, we're never moving again. Oh my gosh. And it isn't us so much, it's the process. It's the upheaval in their life. There are 4 things in life that are extremely stressful. And one is the death of a loved one, one's speaking in a crowd, and the third one is moving. Moving. And 4, of course, is a huge change in whether it's job, career, you know, financial or stuff, whatever, big changes, financial or personal. And so you have to understand that, you know, moving is right up there in the top 4. So nobody wants to do it again, so they're not listening to what you say, no matter how clever you try to be. All right? Good. So turn the page to page 4. In the perfect world, you're going to open up your file, and if you dropped it on the floor, nothing would fall out. Now, if you happen to have a system where everything is just kind of paper clipped in there, I got it, you need to stop doing that. And the reason is that things will get out of order. So one of the thing that's called a classification file folder, and we talk about it in the listing process, is metal hole punched at the top. You know, you 2-hole punch it, you know, they're metal clipped at the top, and we have 6 sections. There are files that are 4 sections. Ours are legal size. They just look like an attorney's. You know, you can get them in the burnt red color. You can get them in blue and green. I've seen them. Now, the key about this is that they're recyclable. They cost a couple of bucks each. So if you have to buy them, then, you know, you can recycle them, and then once you close the file, you can put it in a manila file, scan it, however you do it. The bottom line, though, is that you need these kind of files with extreme order. It's not okay order, it's extreme order. You're fanatical about the order. And if you have an agent who misbehaves and acts like an orangutan at night, gets into your files. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I blew up a file looking for something. I didn't know how to put it back, because that was the first time I'd gotten in a file in probably 2 or 3 years. I don't get into files. I won't touch them. I mean, I just can't touch them. It's just like, oh my gosh, I don't want to touch the file. Because that's not my job. My job is I'm a listing agent. I go out and take listings, I close, I negotiate contracts. That's pretty much my job and run the office. So my job is not opening up those files. But because of something happened, I had to get in there. And so you want to keep your agent out of those files. If they do misbehave themselves and act like an orangutan at night and mess up your files, you need to start having that conversation with them. And one of the things that I'd say is say, Monica asked that I teach you how to keep the files in order. And the next time that you take the files out of order, I'm going to just bring them back to you so you'll know how to put them back together. And you should do that. You should not have an agent misbehave like that. All right, so with that said, the other thing is sometimes your affiliates, now I know RESPA law, gosh, I get it after 33 years. I can recite the, you know, the statute, but here's the thing. On RESPA, they can, you know, there are some office supplies that some people can give you. So not to mention who or what, but we get ours supplied by a certain company, and their company logos on those files, and they bring us all the classification file folders we want. That's one of the things that they do to support our business, because we support them 100%. And we'll have some future calls, but let me just share on the closing part of this. If your agent hopefully is a good listing agent, meaning, well, I know they're a good listing agent, but have a lot of listings in itself, you always want to use the same affiliate. And that's just an efficiency factor too. And we'll be talking about that more in the future. But you need to, at this time of year, start looking at who your affiliates are, having conversations with them and saying, by the way, I want to let you know we closed 72 deals with you this year. And we're looking forward to doing over 100 deals next year with you. And I wanted to talk to you about a couple of things. Now listen to this question if you want to write this down. This is a bonus question. What are you doing for other agents that you're not doing for us? So we have our affiliates really, really support us. And so, you know, I know rest of the law, but you need to ask them what they're willing to do. And there's a lot of things that they can do. All right, so with that said, classification file folder, you open up the file on the left-hand side. We have the listing checklist, listing contract, the referral checklist, price reduction form, CMA information, advertising. Section 2, sale and process checklist. Now, here's the good news. You don't like the way I set it up how you like it. But you need to have a system where everything is there. Now, the listing file that we created was the classification file folder. Please listen to what I'm saying. The classification file folder that was a listing file folder is now the closing file folder. Everything in 1 through 6 on the listing has been condensed, stuff thrown out that we didn't need, and then condensed so that you're condensing the listing file folder. Now section 1 is there. Some people like to put that as the last section. That's fine too. Then section 2, we've got the sale and process checklist. Section 3 is the sales contract, the counteroffer, the addendum. Section 4 is the communication log, required disclosure. Section 5, the seller's net sheet, mortgage information, escrow instructions, title policy. And section 6 can have all the inspection reports, whatever it is that you have that's legal for your area. Okay, it might be wells, septic, and all kinds of other things, all right? So turn the page to page 5. So people always ask me all the time, what software do you use? What's your database? And I say, it's like pantyhose. One size does not fit all, and I don't like any of them. Top Producer right here is great. They made some great changes. Good. I've used it. We didn't like it for various reasons. I hear they're excellent. Some people who know how to use it love it, love it, love it. That's great. We use MyRed Tools, which is not really KW specific, but that's what we're using currently. We use E-Edge. I mean, so it's just whatever you're using is what I say to an agent, and I said, find something and commit to it. And then that's it. You're just going to commit to it. And you don't need to be shopping and looking around all the time. Just make the commitment. And if Top Producer's it, great. E-Edge, awesome. You know, just make the commitment. All right, so on page 5, what I was getting at is that in our file folders, we have checklists. And do we have checklists in the computers? Absolutely. But I want to open up a file. My assistants want to open up a file where we can see what we need to see. So right off the bat, you're going to see price, address, closing date, commission, PP, personality type. What is the personality style? So we have a seller right now, Erin Ralph, and she's a school teacher. She is a quadruple, triple analytical school teacher. And so you have to know that about her, and she's also a high I. So how we respond to her is we can't give her information and expect that we have it overnight. She's got to, I mean, within seconds, she's got, well, I got to think about it. Okay, well, let me put a pencil to it. I went out on a listing presentation in April, and she needed to think about it, and then she ended up selling her house and putting it on the market in July. But it took her a couple of months to pencil through it. She was not going to budge any faster than that. She needed to process it. All right, sellers, name, address, phone number, email addresses, buyers. You know, orphan, so if you're working with a buyer, that's easy. Orphan buyers. Now some of you are going, oh. The orphan buyer is the person that bought your agent's listing. You did not represent them. We get all of that information. How do we do it? We ask. We close by escrow. If I close by title, I'd ask the title. If I close by attorney, I'd ask the attorney. Just ask. And say, for our records, we need to know the buyer's name. We know the buyer name. We need to know the buyer's information. What's their cell phone number? What's their email address in case we need to contact them in the future. They'll give it to you. You just have to ask. And some of you are going, well, I don't think that's ethical. It's ethical. Now, we'll watch this as I've explained to the agents also. If you have a top producing agent or a Keller Williams agent in your office that, you know, you're not going to take their orphan, they're probably going to do a pretty good job of taking care of their orphan buyers. So you don't need to get involved in that. But for most of you, take them. Because the other agent, you know, it might be an agent out of area, it might be a buyer agent strictly who'll never call those buyers again. It might be a buyer agent on a team who has no contact with that buyer ever again. So adopt the orphan buyer. Selling agent, all that information is there. Escrow, if you don't close by escrow, then it's the attorney or title, however you close. Lender, title, insurance, who the rep is. Financing. Okay, so a couple of things. If the lender is an unknown lender, and I have no clue who this lender is, I call them Kung Fu lender in the trunk. They're out of area, don't know them, never heard of them, they're a mortgage broker, whatever. Doesn't matter. We're gonna say that seller requests that the buyer be cross-qualified. Now, when the market's red hot, every agent put up with that. They didn't even give us flinch, because if they didn't, then we're going on to the next buyer contract, because we had plenty of them, multiple offers. In this market, I'm still doing that for the seller in most cases. And then a lot of you can also think about another one, which is on page 8, and I'll talk to you about that coming up, is that seller requests that FICO score and loan application be furnished to seller's lender for confidential review. Now, lenders are like psychiatrists and doctors and attorneys. Things are confidential. We just need that our lender say, okay, that guy's good. He looks like he can make it. Now, we have our lender do that almost on every contract, do a cross-qualify. We have to protect our seller in this market. Okay, all right. With that said, that's part of the headaches on all of these things anyway. And then congratulations letter, and you put a list of the contingencies there. Can never have too many of those. Next page on page 7, some of these are not going to be, part of what you do. Naming number 20, you don't have termite. Utility switched on 25. I have a list of all of those utility companies in case the seller needed a copy, but I would send a copy of all the utility companies with their phone numbers, part of your customer service, so they didn't have to look up that process. And then moving on to page 8, this is the important one, the final close of escrow. So thank you letter to seller, thank you letter to buyer, thank you letter to other agents. I've gone through a lot of these things, and they're coming up even more again. Agent to ask for referral on number 11. Then, client survey sent and received on 14. And some of these things are absolutely so critical. So on number 20 and 21, we have a letter that says, I knew you'd be looking for this, and it is a copy of their closing statement. We get a copy from our escrow company, or your title, whoever you're closing with, as I said, and we get a copy of the buyer and the seller. Whether we represented the seller or not, whether we represented the buyer or not, we are finding out where they're going, and we're sending them a copy and said, I knew you'd be looking for this as part of our customer service. Here is a copy of your closing statement. Now, these orphan buyers love it. We've had them even call us in January after the letter goes out. Seriously, people will call us and go, oh, thank you, that is so nice you did that. I'm starting to work on my taxes now. You're causing me to get ahead of this. So thank you, thank you. So that's just a great little simple thing to do. And then there's your counteroffer clause on the loan application and FICO score submitted to seller's lender for review, for confidential review, should say there, within 72 hours of acceptance. And all we're doing is just getting an eyeball on it from our lender to make sure that this guy's golden and that he has what he says he has. All right? So let me stop there on this closing checklist, because the bigger the checklist, the happier I am, because nothing's going to fall out. If you have a challenge on the checklist and something didn't work out, then if you have a challenge with a closing and something went haywire, then my first question always is it on the checklist? Great, put it on the checklist for next time. Well, this is a 1 in a million. Great, I'm going to guarantee it's going to happen again to somebody somewhere. I'd rather have it on the list and check it off, that we don't need to worry about it, than not have it on the list. So any questions right now before I move on to the second half?
Monica, I have a question since y'all from Burlingame.
Sure.
I went to our title company asking for information on both sides of the sale, and they refused to give it to us.
Well, they give you, if you're representing the seller, well, let me stop right there. Are you representing the seller?
Yes.
Okay, you would get that, right?
Well, yeah, I have that, but she won't give me anything on the closing side.
Okay, did you ask her
I mean,
why?
on the buyer side.
Did you ask her why?
She just said it's against their policy. They don't think
Okay,
that's
good.
correct.
So watch this. Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that. We may have to make a new decision about where we put our business. So then you either can escalate it up. You can call the owner of the company and say, there are a lot of agents who do not, we recommend you as a seller. I mean, we recommend you. We bring you the business, and yet you won't furnish us that information. So you blow it up to the owner, and you say, here's our challenges. We bring you the business, and we're not getting cooperation. There are many buyer agents out there who will never contact the clients again. We know where they moved. We just want their email and phone number. And there is no statute, there's no law that you can't give that to me. Are you willing to cooperate with us? And if he says, no, we're going to keep our policy in effect, you go, great. Please understand, we'll be moving our business. Now, if you're doing enough business, they aren't going to like that. And I'm sure you are. And so you do have to play hardball, but you talked to the wrong person who just said, oh, it's our company policy. Great. I don't care if it's your company policy. You can make an exception for me because it is a fact that that is not confidential information. There's nothing that says this is protected information. And
that's great, yeah, because it's always no, and I just feel like it's so one-sided, so thank you.
It is, and you know what? Yeah, let me ask you this question. Who brought them the deal?
We did, and even when we, because the buyer can change, and we always fight to keep it there.
Right, and you say, we fight for you guys, we bring you these deals, and we're asking for a phone number and emails, and you're going to say no? And then you go, you need to look at your policy, but before you do that, let me talk to the owner. And then have your numbers in your head, whether it's 20 deals or 30 or 50 or 100. We gave you last year 75 deals. This year we've given you 85. The year before that we gave you 55 deals. So go back and look at the numbers and say, I know that adds up to a lot of money. We have one request before we consider using a different company, and here's what it is. And if they say, well, it's confidential, and you say, could you show me the statute on that because I'm in a training class, and they say it's not. They can't do anything but give it to you. And there are many, many people that I coach that they go, gosh, I can't even believe it's that easy, you ask for it. So, one, you may have the wrong company, and if you decide to move, you want to interview the next company and say, here's how we play, here's what we need.
Okay.
All right? Good. And thanks for bringing that up, because I know that's going to help everybody here, but you need to get that information. That's your future listing, because you already sold it once. Chances are they're going to move in the next 5 years, so get it. All right, good. Okay, number 9, or page 9, notice to perform. So this is a California Association of Realtors form that when we have, all the contingencies haven't been removed, we're past the date, they're dragging their feet, we have the seller sign this, we throw it down, and they got to move now, or we're putting it back on the market. So the reason this is good is, let me share with you. When a deal goes south, and it's usually never our fault as closing assistants or coordinators or agents, when a deal goes south, we're going to get blamed. We're going to get blamed. And so if we say to the seller, we're challenged that the buyer is not removing the contingency. They're not doing this. They're not doing that. And so we're going to send them this form with your signature says that they have to perform.
What is that?
And if they don't perform, then we're putting your home on the market, because our goal is to protect you and not get you caught into something with a 3 to 6 month closing where this buyer is telling us what he or she's not going to do. So now we look like the good guy. Does that make sense?
He should have a copy.
Okay.
Right? Someone? Everybody muted?
Right.
Okay. All right. Okay, good. All right, thanks. Okay, good. I just want to make sure everybody's there. Okay. Page 10. So some of these may be appropriate or not appropriate. these are buyer disclosures and, purchase contract, this, smoke detector, mold disclosures, whatever, Please sign and return documents and client signatures in return. So you may want to modify this, but I'm giving you the thought process of how to keep everybody on track and have a form. So one of the things that will be coming up is that we bought, and I haven't done this in my entire career in 1 year, we bought 4 refrigerators this year. Don't ask me why, but sellers just got it in their head that they could take their refrigerator when we had it negotiated, and they go, no, you didn't tell me that. Well, that just got slipped in, or however they said it. Bottom line is that 4 refrigerators left, and they shouldn't. So we have now have another form that goes out to them stating that these are the things that will be left on the property. They sign it, and now we have it in the file. Because remember what I said, they only hear 25% of what's said. So we have to make that really clear. So that'll be coming up in a future class. Page 11, contract disclosure letter. All right, I'm enclosing the following, and obtain client signatures, etc. So to the selling agent, and the other one there was to the buyer agent. So these are, again, things, once again, take a look at that. I'm going to move on to page 12. Those are self-explanatory. All right, so, the key thing is that when you get an escrow closing file, pending file, you must call every day for 5 days. And some great assistants, say, gosh, that's overkill. And I go, not really. No one will fire you because you called them too much. And how much are they really hearing? And how many calls do you get after the second or third day saying, now, tell me what's going to happen. When do we expect that inspection? And what's the next thing that we need to worry about? Or what's the next thing we need to get through? Remember, here's the thing that you have to understand on the seller's perception. We've done a couple of things. And one is we sold their house. So write down seller perception. The house is sold, number 1. Number 2, write down not sold. So we've told them it's sold, but it's not sold. Because in California, we have a 17-day for inspections, and at any given time, they can withdraw their offer, change their mind, and then, for no reason, to say, I'm done. They don't even have to give us a reason. So for the next 17 days, it may be not sold. And then 4, we're saying, don't pack, and then we're saying, pack. And then we're saying, yes, your sales price of $420. This is what the closing statement says now. Let's see what the inspection says. So now, in this market, inspections are coming back pretty hard and strong. We've got an inspection list. The person is crazy. 22 items on the inspection list. 22. Are you kidding me? I need to get a copy of that just to put in the class, I guess. And so, that's ridiculous. And so obviously that buyer agent has no control over that buyer. So the inspections, so you understand where the seller's at. Hey, congratulations, your home is sold. Not really sold. Oh, don't pack yet. Oh, don't move yet. Let's get through the inspections. And your price of $420, well, now we need to, another $3,000 toward repairs, or another $1,500 toward repairs, and oh, by the way, the termite now is $5,000. And so it's not $420 sales price net to them, or whatever it is. So just remember, there's a lot of balls in the air, and we can't give them concrete information. So that's why we have to really over-explain things, all right? And you always want to say, good morning, this is Shannon with Chris Heller's team. Congratulations, Jim, on the sale of your home. Congratulations on the purchase of your home, whatever it happens to be. As part of Chris and Monica's customer service, I'm calling to introduce myself. I'll be coordinating the sales process for your home. And then you say, Jim, is this a good time to talk for a couple of minutes? You always ask for permission. So there's 2 things in that script that I want you to note. One is always mention agent's name. Always mention agent's name. You can't do that enough. And the reasons are it builds you credibility. It keeps the agent involved so they don't go, well, it's great talking to you. I wonder if I'll ever hear from Chris or Monica ever again. All right? And then you always want to be respectful, and that's why you say, is now a good time to talk. Now, driver agents are notorious We're never asking for pictures. Oh, good, I'm glad I caught you. Here's what I need to tell you. And off they go like a machine gun. So you have to know that you always want to say, is now a good time to talk? Because you want to make sure they're in a good place to talk, because you're going to go through a lot of information. And you say you might want to have a pen and paper handy. And then, you know, at the end of the call, you're going to say, great, I'm going to send you some notes on the call too. All right. So then you go, great. Okay. So number one, you're going to go into the contact information and seller-buyer information. Make sure you get all the phone numbers and emails, husband and wife. Verify it. Even though if you have it in the file, verify it. Go over how the seller or the buyer wants to be contacted, what's best for them, what are best hours. Just ask that, whether you're going to stick within those guidelines or not. We had one seller who absolutely said, I will only communicate by text. Now, that was one this year, but he would not communicate in any other way by text other than text. Okay, fine. All right, number 3, go over closing company or escrow title, whoever it is that you use. Go over timelines for the deadlines and inspections. And tell them you are sending a letter with this information and your business card, or you're sending an email. And remember, call, email, call. You've got to call the next day to verify that they got the email, because remember, you never know who gets what, where, when, what, right? And then also tell them you're sending an email. All right. Number 7, establish a time you'll speak to them weekly. And so, you know, Jim, during the first week, I'll probably be calling you every day for the next few days to just get everything up and running. And then after that, so you know, I always touch base with all our great clients on all of our pending contracts on Thursdays. Now, I'm available 5 days a week. I'm at my desk every single day. However, on Thursdays is a date for me to catch up and give you an update. If you have a question, you're always welcome to call me. All right? So do you have any other questions for me at this time? Is there anything else I can do to make this a great experience for you? Now remember, let me go back to this, and I don't know if I told you the story or not. Okay, let's say we're going out for an unbelievable dinner, and we're going to pay 6% of the sales price of your home, which is, say, a $400,000 home. We're going to pay $24,000 for a dinner. $24,000. That's a lot of our hard-earned money. And we're going to go out for this great dinner, and we're going to have entrees, we're going to have great desserts, and we're going to have great appetizers, and oh my gosh, they come with a whole thing for the salad, and they do it in front of us, big Caesar salad. It's quite dramatic. The wine is unbelievable, and it's like a 8-course, 9-course dinner, and it's taken hours and hours. Oh, it's worth the $24,000. We're so excited. Now, switch gear. Just sold the house for $400,000. The commission's $24,000. I got them a price that was better than what they thought they were going to get for their home. They think we're heroes as a team. We did exceptional marketing, they thought. Our brochure was amazing. They loved everything about us. They go to escrow, or to pending, and now they're at the closing court, working with a closing coordinator. This is what I call the dessert. This is the last thing they think about in the transaction, is the dessert. This is the last thing we think about when we go out for dinner, is the dessert. And here comes the dessert. And you open up the silver tray, and it's a dead rat with chocolate sauce on it. We're trying to be nice, we're trying to be helpful, but we served a dead rat. Basically, we made a lot of mistakes. It was a hairy, hairy closing. And who wants to pay $24,000 for a dead rat? So, with that said, it ruined the entire dinner. It ruins the entire transaction. So if you're closing files, you are in charge of protecting that commission and making sure that those people understand that they have excellent, excellent customer service, where they never question. Now, are people ever happy about paying 6%? Probably not. You know, some people are, but probably people go, gosh, we could have gotten for a little less. But anyway, we got it sold, and they did a great job, and they did this, and they did that. And that's the kind of reactions that you want. You don't want to serve a dead rat. So, congratulations on the purchase of your home. Please call me anytime if you have any questions. I look forward to speaking to you on Tuesdays, Thursdays, whatever. It's part of our Chris Eller's customer service to give you a weekly update. Now, this is your little checklist here. You're going over your contact information, your deadline. Congratulations. Send them out your business card. Okay. So that sets it up. And then the next day, you're going to call them again and say, I'm just following up as part of our customer service, let you know this and this happened, and did you get my email about everything? Great. We're working on the inspections right now. I'll have some times for you probably tomorrow. Keep talking to them every day for 5 days. It causes them to behave and not become a lunatic on you, which will save you a lot of time. All right, page 13. Agent script for weekly update. Really? Really? So technically, it would be great if the agents also participated and also made sure that in this case is that they're looking for repeat and referral business. Now, if they have a question about the file, they should never answer it. I would never answer a question about a file. I got an agent who called me yesterday about a file. I didn't even return the call. I just emailed Shannon and I said, call him. He called me. I don't want to know what the question is. I don't want to know what the answer is. That's not my job. So when somebody asks me about a file or they ask me about a situation, hey, do you know anything about this? And I go, great, that's a great question for Shannon. That's her job. She's got her file right in front of you right now. Let me transfer you. Even if I know the answer, I'm not saying anything. Because then, when you get too many cooks in the kitchen, you're going to just get a mess. And nobody's in charge. So if you have an agent who is in the kitchen with you, you need to have a one-on-one conversation and say, here's some interesting things that Monica said. One is that your job description, you guys want to write this down, is to lead generate. 2, you go on appointment. Lead generate, go on appointment. 3, lead follow-up. And 4, write contract. If they're doing anything else, they're doing your job as an assistant and say, I need to take my job back. I need you to focus on your 4 things. These are the one things that you need to focus on. The one thing is they need to lead generate. Because if they lead generate, then everybody's happy. All right? Okay, any questions about that?
Hello?
Okay, moving on, because we've got a bunch more to go. Page 14. Here's just a weekly seller update. I don't care how you do it, communication log, but you need to have an update. All right? Now, page 15, complete transaction survey.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so here's your little bonus idea here. We can get 100% back by doing this. This needs to go to the
I see.
closing office.
Okay, yeah.
So if you close by title, that's your closing office. Escrow, whatever it happens to be, attorney. They have a copy of this. So when the client comes in to sign documents, this is presented to them at the same time. What a great way to get 100% of them back. Now you can send it to them with a self-addressed envelope and put a pin in it and all that. Hope you get them back. You may not. You may not. Why don't you just have this at the closing office and then you get 100% back? All right? So turn the page to page 17. All right, so here's a copy of the deadline board, and let me share something with you. All right. So in my world, I would suggest that you do this. Is that you can get a board, you can make them yourself, and you can get big ones, et cetera, and you could use black electrical tape. Now, the key thing about this is, though, when you write in the address and the closing date, loan date, earnest money, physical inspections, repairs completed, you're going to put in what's important to you there. I would suggest that you write the dates in red. So if your physical inspection has to be done by, let's say, 10/20, you put that date in red. And let's say that the physical inspection's been done, contingencies are removed, and then you circle that with a green marker. So the circle of the green means that it's completed. Repairs completed, repairs were supposed to be completed by 10:30. They're completed now. You circle the 10:30 with a green circle. So the seller, so the agent can look at the board and see all the green circles and see things moving forward. If there's a lot of red and dates are being missed, then he's going to jump in.
But we're wired, right?
Ask some questions
It's
about
because
that.
I tried listening on my
Executing
phone
there
and
just
it
means to
didn't
check
work
with
because
receipt, all right?
my phone's connected to
So
the
with that
Wi-Fi.
said, take a look at that. Remember,
Yeah,
check
so
receipt.
that's
There
why
are
it's the
people that
Wi-Fi
I find
that's not
out
working.
that I've coached
Can you
in
plug
the
in?
past who said, we found out we had a bunch of closings. We didn't get a couple of checks. Really? Gee, how does that happen? All right, so there's your deadline board. Page 18, I want to spend a little time on this.
I emailed him too.
This is what you should put in the chair of your agent at 10 o'clock every Friday morning. And I get this every Friday without fail. It has the seller information, the property address, the closing date, the phone number, the second phone number, and the price. So I can easily, as an agent, call this, and I can call this list, and I can see who I need to talk to, what's going on, and what the closing date is. I've got the buyers broken out also. Now, what's interesting about this, we've made a change in that we add up the volume. So now I have at the bottom there, I have the total volume. So it says total number of escrows 41, but I also have the volume, how many millions it is.
Really?
9 million, 10 million, 8 million, whatever the volume is. Because the volume's important to us too. We like to look at the volume. Okay? All right, so that's important to have that. And that's just an Excel spreadsheet. And so every time you get a closing, you put it on there, and every time one is closed on Friday before you give it to the agent, you delete it off. And then the agent, this is a strong accountability. So here's a little side tip. Agents need severe accountability in order to succeed. They are independent contractors. No one will fire them from the job if they decide to go to the movies in the afternoon. Not that anybody does on this call.
Oh, really?
However, this is how they stay motivated to have something hit them in the face every Friday. So if there's only 1 or 2 escrows on there, heaven forbid, they need to get to work.
Yeah.
You know, if their goal is to have 10 or 15 escrows at all times, then, you know, and they've only got 8 in there, they need to get to work. You know, we have a goal in our office to have 25 escrows at all times. So we went with the market as busy as it's been.
I think so.
You know, we got caught there for a couple of months that we got behind on that. So now we're cranking it up again. And you have to know that your agent has to understand this part of the business is what they need to know. And every week they need a list of their escrow or pending. So I know you guys, some of you don't use escrow, we do, so use pending lists. This is the properties that are under contract, that are getting ready to close, or that are under the closing process. And remember, when one sells and is finalized, off it comes, and then any new ones go on this list. In the agent's chair by 10 o'clock every Friday. Why in their chair? Because if their desks are like most top producers, who knows what's on that desk, all right? Unless they're an analytical, and then they're spending too much time on what's on their desk.
Oh, okay, good. I'll let Elias
And
know.
not focused on the most important
And then,
stuff. All right,
did you get
any
my
questions
messages from
about that
yesterday?
before I roll on? Questions? Okay. All right. So now you guys get to participate.
How's he doing?
So, and what I want to do here is I need you to share an idea or have a question.
Great.
And then what, again,
And
you know,
you're
I've
fully
said this
recovered
several
now
times, I
from
got to
the
say it again.
meeting?
What you heard
No?
may not be something someone else heard. And then they're going to write it down and go, hey, that's a great point. I don't know why I didn't get that, but now I got it.
Oh, no.
And so I really want you to hear what other people think were the top ideas. So this is a great way for you to contribute to the call, but also help other people on the call.
Yeah.
All right, we've got number 1 idea today. What did you learn today?
Monica, it's Elizabeth in Kansas City.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Well, we already
I
took care of
appreciate
what
you
we needed to do.
participating.
They
All right,
had
what
to
do you like
access the
today,
water
Elizabeth?
heater, so he just
I
went
like
ahead
the
and did
idea of
it.
putting the transaction survey to the title company and getting that taken care of there.
To be honest,
And
it's
my
one of our
question
lenders
is,
that
what
we've used
about
for years and years.
the importance of getting online testimonials to Trulia, Zillow, Realtor.com, wherever you can get them online?
You know, that's a great point, and one of the things that
And he
when
just
you
had to
get
snap
a
a photo really
questionnaire
quick.
that came back, then, you know, what I would do is have them
I know, I
have
did
an
tell him
email
that, like,
your agent does,
I
or your
can't
agent
give
could
you
call, or
permission,
you
but
could
if
call
you
and
feel
send them a letter still, or
here's
an
the dog
email that
park
says,
too.
thank you for those great responses.
You wouldn't
We
be
so
liable.
appreciate it. It's an important part of our business to make sure that our customer service is top-notch, world-class. May we ask you a favor? Here's a link to this one and a link to that. Could you please make a comment online for us? That would mean so much to our business.
Okay.
But only do that to the people who love you, right?
Right.
Good point. Good point. I wrote that down. Okay. All right,
would need to be
for
home, right?
testimonials. And everybody should have wrote that down also. Okay, great. All right, who's got number 2, please? Thank you. Who's got number 2?
Okay. Well, do you want to call me when things settle down a little bit and we can set something up?
Hello, Monica. This is
Does that
Lucy
sound
from
good?
Fort Worth, Texas.
Hey, Lucy
Okay,
from
all right.
Fort
Thank you for
Worth.
calling
Yes,
me.
ma'am.
Well, I just want to let everybody know that are not using the 6 section folders that they need to try them. They are wonderful. I had never used them until I started my job with the beaten heart. And they are great. I know exactly where to go in every folder for whatever I need. It is all the same. It's always there, and it's always right at my fingertips. It is amazing.
Good. So let's write down classification file folder and have your system. So Lucy, let me ask you a question. Do your agents ever get in your files and mess them up?
Oh, well, we took care of it.
I really try not to let them touch my files.
Good. I don't even know where ours are. I have no idea. If somebody said, go find the Cassidy file, I don't even know where to look. Is it on the Cassidy drawer or whatever?
Oh, that's a lie.
When I get the listing file from the agent after the listing, it is mine. He does not get it back.
Yay! Good answer, Lucy. Thank you for being on the call. And
Thank you.
that's a powerful assistant. Atta girl. All right, good. Who's 3, please? Number 3.
Hi, Monica. This is Nancy in Prairie Village, Kansas.
I'm sorry, Nancy in Kansas, right?
Yes.
Great. What did you like today, Nancy? Thank you for speaking up.
I like the notice to buyer to perform form, and I especially like the idea of showing that to the seller during the listing appointment to show them that you are going to fight for them and make sure that their transaction flows smoothly.
Yes, and thank you for bringing that up. Notice to perform, and then we have them sign, but don't put a date on it, because then we put a date when we need to throw it down. But we say, and thank you for bringing that up, because we do it at the listing presentation. Part of our customer service, we want to protect your home that it closes successfully. If we happen to get a buyer that gets sideways and is not paying attention, we don't want your home to suffer and the opportunity to suffer where your home is off the market and not with a real buyer if we get into that situation. We never know what happens. So thank you for that, Nancy. That was great. All right, good. One more. Who's got number 4, please? One more idea today.
Hi, Monica. This is Jessica from Pasadena.
Yes, please.
I like the idea of using your vendors more and interviewing them and asking what they're doing for others that they're not doing for you.
Great. Okay, let's get the vendors on board. And thank you for bringing that up, Miss Pasadena, Rose Bowl there. The vendors are so important. So the question that I would ask back to you, Miss Pasadena, do you have certain vendors that you use on every transaction without fail?
Yes.
Good, and that's the right answer. Some agents, though, spread the wealth, which is crazy. You need dedicated people who will jump through hoops, click their heels, and get stuff done. So that's a great one. Thank you for that. All right, so your homework assignments are this, in my personal opinion, is that you should have a deadline board. Absolutely have a deadline board. And number 2, make sure your first call checklist is up to speed, so you're covering everything you should, mentioning the agent's name, asking is this a good time to talk, and then remember what I said, call, email, call. Then email them the information, and call the first 5 days. Make sure that your first call checklist is set up like that. Then the last thing, I mean, there's some great things in here. The main one that I would write down is look at your closing checklist. Do you have personality type on there? Do you have source of business? You have everything on there that should be on there so that there's no loophole. There's no loophole. And so, you know, the key on all of this is that we want to have systems like flying an airplane where nothing breaks down. There's nothing that we're not familiar with on how to deal with. And it just goes for efficiency. And again, the whole goal of this whole call is repeat and referral business. Is making that client experience. When they pay 6%, they are happy to have paid that because they got the service, they got the price, everything was great, they got served desserts, and they like it. All right? And then so the policy and procedures tab is that obviously closing system would be one. And then if you want to write down, whiteboards, a lot of assistants I know have broke out with tabs that says whiteboards, and you have copies of all the whiteboards. That's always good. And then the other thing that I think is important is that you have a tab that says assistant scripts. Now, can the script for the closing be in two different places? Absolutely. Make things really, really efficient, but also informative. So if you have a closing system, you need the script in there. But you also need a list of all the assistant scripts in a different tab, in my personal opinion. All right, great group. There was some great information. So we have a call next week. That's exciting. So get prepared for that. There'll be more information about what we covered today, too, and then to another level. And I look forward to talking to everyone. Thanks for your time. Thanks for your agent's financial commitment. Can't wait to talk to you next week. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week. Bye-bye.
Moisture